Hey guys, welcome back to chapter 6 of David Walliams' Billionaire Boy, titled The Grubs. If you remember in the past, the Grubs were mentioned as the school bullies. So it looks like we're going to get introduced to them today, which is great. Now remember, it's always important, as I tell you every time, to pay attention, because at the end you're going to have to answer some questions in complete sentences, meaning they start with a capital and end with a period. Let's get started. Chapter 6, The Grubs. "Oi, Blob!" came a shout from behind them. "Just keep walking," said Bob. Joe turned to look around and glimpsed a pair of twins. They looked terrifying, like gorillas in human suits. These must be the dreaded Grubs Bob had talked about. "Don't look around," said Bob. "I'm serious. Just keep walking." Joe was beginning to wish he was luxuriating in the safety of his back seat of his chauffeur-driven Rolls-Royce, rather than walking to the bus stop. "Fatso!" As Joe and Bob walked faster, they could hear footsteps behind them. Although it was still early and the winter sky was blackening, the street lamps flickered on and blotches of yellow light spilled onto the wet ground. "Quick, let's run down here," said Bob. The boys dashed down an alley and hid behind a giant green wheelie bin that was parked by the back of a Bella Pasta. "I think we've lost them," whispered Bob. "Are those the Grubs?" asked Joe. "Shh! Keep your voice down." "Sorry," whispered Joe. "Yeah, it's the Grubs." "The ones who bully you?" "That's them. They're identical twins. Dave and Sue Grubb." "Sue? One of them's a girl?" Joe could swear that when he turned around, he'd seen the twins following them. Both of them had thick facial hair. "Sue. A girl, yes," said Bob, as if Joe was some kind of idiot. "Then they can't be identical," whispered Joe. "I mean, if one's a boy and one's a girl, well, yes, but no one can tell them apart." Suddenly Joe and Bob heard footsteps coming closer and closer. "I can smell fat, boys!" came a voice from the other side of the bin. The Grubs wheeled the bin away to reveal the two boys crouching behind it. Joe took his first good look at the pair. Bob was right. The Grubs were identical. They both had matching crew cuts, hairy knuckles, and mustaches, all of which seemed unfortunate for both of them. "Let's play Spot the Difference with the Grubs. Can you spot the 10 differences between these two? What do you think? Can you find 10 differences between the two Grubs? Now, no, you can't. They are exactly the same. A gust of cold wind hummed through the alley. An empty can trundled past on the ground. Something twitched in the bushes. "How was the cross-country run without your kit today, Blub?" chuckled one Grub. "I knew it was you two," Bob replied angrily. "So what did you do with it?" "It's in the canal," chuckled the other. "Now give us your chocolate." Even hearing their voices didn't give any clues as to who was Dave and who was Sue. Both their voices wavered high and low in one sentence. "I'm taking some home for me mum," protested Bob. "I don't care," said the other Grub. "Give us it, you little," said the other one. I'll have to confess to the reader that bit was a swear word. Other swear words include. You can see how they wrote the swear words. All stars. And of course the incredibly rude. If you don't know any swear words, it's best to ask a parent or teacher or other responsible adult to make a list for you. For example, here are some of the rude words I know: patok, crunter, noog, smagger, ming-mong, clasbo, ferp, fedger, nadgers, blim-blam, cool-briz, trunt, joofer, kloot-sack, bullmunter, gunder, whiz-pop, huppletrot, wada, lopcock, moozer, frink, dangle-spangles, bula-bula, burmoonop, odd-plops, ling-pope, twatter, plume fizz, lumweed, Moomers, Flam Flam, Pognots, Vogenbits, Zucky Zuck, Sming, Cumbo Drops, Poot Puddle, Kungo, Bim Bam, Paffer, Gollyging, Nonkey, Humbug, Ponk, Hool, Blunkers, Pum Pum, Minky, Grunt Bunt, Ploob, Draz, Knocky Neuters, Luzzer, Plim Plam, Bart. All of these words are so rude, I wouldn't dream of putting them in this book. Don't pick on him, said Joe. Then he instantly regretted drawing the attention to himself, as one of the grubs took a step towards him. "Oh, what?" said either Dave or Sue, their breath toxic from a bag of skips they had already recently snatched from a little girl in 5 years. "Or," said Joe, searching his mind for something to say that would crush these bullies forever, "or I'll be very disappointed with both of you." That wasn't it. The grubs laughed. They snatched what was left of the Cadbury Dairy milk bar from Bob's hand and then grabbed his arms. They lifted him up, and as Bob yelled for help, they deposited him in the wheelie bin. Before Joe could say anything else, the grubs were stomping off down the road, laughing with their mouths full of stolen chocolate. Joe dragged the wooden crate over and stood on it to give himself more height. He leaned down into the bin and caught hold of Bob under the armpits. With a great heave, he started to pull his heavy friend out of the bin. "Are you okay?" he asked as he strained to take Bob's weight. "Oh, yeah, they do this to me most days," said Bob. He pulled some spaghetti and Parmesan cheese out of his curly hair. Some of it might have been there since last time. The Grub twins deposited him in the bin. "Well, why don't you tell your mum?" "I don't want her to make her worry about me. She's got enough to worry about already," replied Bob. "Maybe you should tell a teacher then." "The Grubs said if I ever told anyone that they would really beat me up. They know where I live, and they even got expelled. Even if they got expelled, they could find me," said Bob. He looked like he was about to cry. Joe didn't know what to say to his new friend, upset. "One day, I'll get them back. I will. My dad always used to say the best way to beat bullies is to stand up to them. One day I will." Joe looked at his new friend, standing there in his underwear, covered in scraps of Italian food. He thought of Bob standing there in the grubs, standing up to the grubs. The fat boy would get massacred. But maybe there's another way, he thought. Maybe I can get the grubs off his back forever. He smiled. He still felt bad about paying Bob to come last in the race. Now he could make up for it. If his plan worked, he and Bob were going to be more than just friends. They'd be best friends. All right. So that is the end of chapter 6, called The Grubs. So we've met the Grubs. Now you've got some questions to answer. Remember, complete sentences. You would never, if you walked up to somebody, just say bicycle. That'd be kind of awkward, right? So you might go up to them and say, oh, they didn't have a bicycle to ride, so they were walking. That would make more sense, right? All right. Good luck with your questions. Make sure you click submit and have a wonderful rest of your day.